So, my stepdaughter had a baby 2.5 years ago. She never liked me coming into her life. I have been receiving remarks such as, "You aren't my real dad. My real dad is better than you. You aren't really my family." She has been saying these for the past 13 years. Despite this, I have done everything for her and gone above and beyond. When the baby was born, we did a male subscription diaper order. It was supposed to last for 1 year, and then they would take over. However, 2.5 years later, the child is now potty training, and she doesn't like that brand of training diaper. Therefore, we now buy another brand at the store. We have had to buy baby clothing, food, and other supplies since they can't afford it. We have also had to buy them food when they didn't have enough to feed themselves. Her husband is too insecure to pick up feminine hygiene products on his way home from work, so she calls me or my wife to get what she needs. I try to be the best dad, although I am just her stepdad, and she constantly reminds me of that. I really try hard. Now, 2 years ago, she wanted to go back to work and wanted me to watch her baby. I am not comfortable with babies because I am disabled and have a lot of issues with my back. It constantly causes me pain, and lifting any weight worsens it. I also have issues with my nervous system, where I don't feel things with my hands and the rest of my body properly. I can unknowingly crush someone's hand or drop things constantly because I can't feel what's in my hands. I said I wasn't comfortable watching the baby on my own, but a week later, my wife tells me I need to watch the baby on a specific day because our daughter is returning to work. I told her I'm not comfortable watching the baby on my own. However, she was supposed to work for 3 to 4 months so they could get on their feet, as her husband got a good job driving for a company with his commercial driver's license, CDL, working 60 to 70 hours a week. He abruptly quit his job because he found it too tough and took a job that pays $12 less per hour, only working 34 to 36 hours a week. Now, they are facing financial difficulties again and can barely afford things. Consequently, I have been stuck babysitting for 2 years now. I become annoyed because everything that was supposed to be temporary has now become a permanent responsibility. I am having serious trouble keeping up with a toddler who does nothing but yell and cry. Due to my physical issues, I have difficulties playing with the child. Furthermore, the child has no attention span and cannot sit still or learn anything. They can't afford daycare unless my wife and I pay for it. The toddler has a habit of jumping on me, and when she does, she elbows my chest or legs. My wife and I argued about me continuing to watch the toddler because they don't have anyone or anything else to look after the child, and I am expected to endure the pain. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to endure additional pain from lifting the child into the high chair, potty, and changing table multiple times a day? Am I in the wrong for being in constant pain and not wanting the child to elbow me 5 to 20 times a day? I have the child with me 3 days a week, 24/7, and by the time the child goes home to their mom and dad, I am in so much pain that I can barely walk. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I have refused several times, but it always comes down to they don't have the money for daycare and have no other options. The daughter brought up again how her real dad is better than me, even though he hasn't been in her life since she was 4 and has never paid a single dime of child support. I told her to get her real dad to do half of what we are doing to support them, and suddenly I am the bad guy. Comment 2. Next time they dump the child, take it to the police station and report it as abandoned. You are not physically able to care for it. They'll come up with other options. Comment 3. I made it clear I didn't want to babysit. My wife and daughter do what they want. The son-in-law is just a jerk who only looks out for his best interests. Now, for the update. So, 2 weeks ago, I had this monumental blow-up with my wife and stepdaughter. I couldn't take the physical pain of caring for the baby anymore, and my frustration bled into every part of our family life. Surprisingly, the fallout wasn't as bad as I expected, but the aftermath, well, to say it took a wild turn would be an understatement. My wife actually took my side, much to my surprise. She confronted our stepdaughter, leading to a heated argument that lasted days and ended in tears and slammed doors. I was ready to pack my bags and leave, but then my stepdaughter did something unexpected. She apologized. Yeah, you heard that right. The girl who has given me nothing but grief for the past 13 years actually apologized. She admitted she had been taking advantage of me and took responsibility for her actions. I was stunned. Honestly, I didn't know how to react. Then things took another unexpected turn. My wife found a job. She hadn't worked since we got married, but she felt the need to support our family financially and lessen my burden. She started working at a local grocery store. It was just a small gig, but it was enough to cover the baby's daycare costs. We, as a family, started going to therapy, trying to work through the bitterness, resentment, and the stress of the past years. I had my reservations about it, but it helped. We started understanding each other better, started listening to each other's perspectives. The tension in the house lessened. Now, I'm not going to pretend everything is perfect. My stepdaughter and her husband are still struggling financially, but they started taking responsibility. They've been looking for better jobs and even started a small home business. They still need our help, but they're not blatantly exploiting me anymore. Physically, I'm still in pain, but I'm not bearing the brunt of caring for the toddler on my own, which has helped. I've started a pain management plan with a new doctor, and I'm starting to feel a little better. This ordeal has reignited my relationship with my wife. Somehow, through all this chaos, we found each other again. You wouldn't believe it, but my stepdaughter and I even had a heart-to-heart. There were tears and confessions, and although we still have a long way to go, for the first time in 13 years, I see a glimmer of hope. So yeah, these past 2 weeks have been nothing short of a wild, emotional roller coaster. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a bit of optimism. This is not the ending of the story, but hopefully the start of a new chapter. Wish me luck, folks! Now, for the comments. Not the idiot. While having a baby can definitely be stressful and cause physical pain, the important thing here is that everyone is taking responsibility and actively working to improve the situation. Your wife finding a job to support the family financially shows a clear commitment to ensuring stability, and going to therapy indicates an openness to understanding and resolving any existing issues. It's heartening to see such a mature response to a challenging situation. Not the idiot. You're dealing with a lot, from the physical strain of caring for a baby to financial struggles. But it's clear that you're not shying away from these issues and instead are finding ways to manage them. Your wife stepping up to financially support the family and your stepdaughter apologizing for her previous actions show a family that's ready to confront problems head-on. Not the idiot. It's evident that there's a lot of growth happening in your family despite the challenging circumstances. Your wife and stepdaughter are stepping up, and you're also making efforts to manage your physical pain. The fact that you're all in therapy is also a good sign that you're committed to working through these issues together. It's not an easy journey, but your efforts are commendable. Now, for the next story. I know the title may sound wrong, but I grew up in an hurtful household with drugs and violence. I, female, 11 years old, grew up mostly in the care of Child Services Protective, CSP, and sometimes my grandmother and grandfather. My mother was a drug addict and gave birth to me in jail. I know this might sound very disturbing to know, but sometimes I do wish I was miscarried or at least someone else. I realize when I have those thoughts, I never feel bad or regret the things I say. The abuse in my family is very bad, and I even had to go to therapy for it at the young age of 6. I brought it up when my mother tried to get custody of me and my brother. I told my grandmother about this, knowing that she could only keep me in and let my brother go with my mom. I don't know what to do to convince her to keep both me and my brother, so we wouldn't have to live with that beast of a woman, aka my mother. Can people in the comments help me with suggestions so I'd be able to still live with my brother, and he wouldn't have to leave with our mother? Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post didn't have any comments. Now, for the update. Today, I want to share with you all an update on my situation that I think might give hope to some folks who have been in similar spots. First off, my grandmother. She's always been a rock in my life, but our conversations about mom and custody were difficult to say the least. However, after a lot of heart-to-heart talks and some emotional moments, she agreed to fight for full custody of both me and my brother. It was a long and draining legal battle, but I'm happy to say that the court sided with us. We now officially live with our grandmother. The biggest change, though, has been with my mother. After we won the custody case, she hit rock bottom. I'm not going to lie, seeing her like that was pretty rough, even given everything she put us through. But it was also a turning point. She started attending NA meetings, and slowly but surely, she's been making progress. About a year into her recovery, she reached out to me and my brother. It was a difficult conversation, filled with tears and long silences. She apologized for all the pain she caused us. For the first time in my life, I actually saw some genuine remorse in her. My brother and I have been visiting her at her rehab center. It's hard, there's still a lot of past to work through, but it feels good to see her making an effort. I don't know if we will ever have a perfect relationship, but it's a start, and that's more than I could have hoped for a few years ago. Therapy has been a huge help too. I've been working through my feelings of worthlessness, and it's been getting easier to deal with them. I'm learning that my worth is not defined by my past or by my mother's actions, but by who I choose to be. And my brother, he's doing good too. He started attending therapeutic art classes, and it's doing wonders for him. He's got this knack for painting, and it's been his outlet to express his feelings that he can't quite put into words yet. Through all this, I've come to realize that even though life can be unfair and painful, it's also filled with unexpected turns and possibilities for change. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying it's possible, and I hope that can offer some comfort to anyone else dealing with tough circumstances right now. Let's all keep fighting our battles, one day at a time. Thank you all for your advice and support. It made a world of a difference. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. You've really been through a lot, and it's commendable how you've handled the situation. It's impressive that you're open to rebuilding the relationship with your mother, even after all the hurt. It takes a lot of strength and maturity to do that. Keep prioritizing therapy. It's apparent how much it's helping you and your brother. 2. Not the idiot. Your story is really inspiring and provides a lot of hope. It's heartening to hear that your grandmother stepped up and fought for custody. Everyone deserves a safe and nurturing environment, and it sounds like she's providing just that. Also, your mother's progress with NA meetings shows that people can change if they truly want to. 3. Not the idiot. It's wonderful that your brother has found solace in therapeutic art classes. It's crucial to find healthy outlets to express and cope with emotions, especially given your past circumstances. Also, the fact that you are using your experiences to offer hope to others is an extremely selfless act. Continue on this path of healing and growth. Now, for the next story. She is 5 years old, very spoiled. Temper tantrums, screaming in public if she doesn't get her way. She always gives me the side eye. She won't smile at me. She cries and cries if she's ever left with me. She has 2 older brothers, and our relationship is usually good. My daughter-in-law, DIL, is also very difficult. Nothing is ever good enough. We have stopped going out to eat with them because it is every single time she gets her food for free. So that has become an embarrassment. She has prevented me from seeing the kids several times if I ever disagreed or dared to voice an opinion about anything that she disagrees with. She is always in emotional disagreement with her own family. I don't know. I just feel horrible about the granddaughter because I have tried everything with her. I'm finding that I'm starting to resent the DIL and SGD step-granddaughter. At this point, I'm ready to leave the whole state because I am done. I can't do that, however, so I want to go no contact. Is that wrong? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I don't think you are a jerk. My nephew is 5. He does not act like a brat. In fact, he has his manners and is obsessed with animals. He's playful. My niece is also 5, doesn't act like a brat. He is bubbly and always happy. My cousin is 4, about to turn 5. Also doesn't act like a brat to his stepmom. Or anyone, as a matter of fact. Has a lot of energy playing. Another cousin is 6.5. Again, does not act like a brat with anyone. If your step-granddaughter is acting like that, it's because of the parenting going on. Probably from mom's side, and dad is probably allowing it to continue. My friend's daughter is 7. Since she was 5, had been acting like a spoiled brat and always wants her way. You know why? Because her mom gets her whatever she wants and always has it her way. Her dad allows this behavior to continue instead of being strict with her. Comment 2. Well, from the way you've laid it out, I guess not. But also, she is 5, and it's pretty hard for me to be like, this is her fault, because again, she's 5. If you can't make it work with the parents, it is what it is, but none of this is a 5-year-old's fault. Comment 3. Not the idiot, you have every right to choose who you consider family. They are not even blood related to you. You need to think this through very carefully, though, because you can potentially lose your relationship with your son, daughter, by cutting off their partner. Now, for the update. This past month has been a roller coaster. It started off with a family get-together for a cousin's wedding. The daughter-in-law was insufferable as always, making a scene about the food, the seating arrangement, and even the music. It was mortifying, to say the least. The granddaughter behaved atrociously, screaming and stomping about and demanding to be taken home. I was so embarrassed, I spent half the wedding in the restroom, hiding my tears. This was followed by a medical scare. I had high blood pressure and was admitted to the hospital for a few days. The daughter-in-law didn't bother visiting. Even worse, I found out from a nurse that she'd tried to bar my own son from visiting me. I was crushed. When I confronted her about this, she accused me of creating drama and cut off contact completely. I haven't seen my grandkids since that day. I miss them despite everything. My heart aches when I think of their little faces. My son has managed to sneak in a few phone calls, but it's not the same. To make matters worse, my living situation has become complicated. I've been served with a notice of eviction. Since I can't leave the state, I'm desperately seeking affordable housing. The stress has been overwhelming. I've considered reaching out to my daughter-in-law and asking if I can stay with them temporarily, but I'm afraid the tension would be unbearable. Overall, this past month has been an emotional whirlwind. I'm grappling with feelings of resentment, loneliness, and fear, while also trying to maintain my health and find a new place to live. I've questioned my decision to consider going no contact numerous times, but each interaction with my daughter-in-law only confirms that it might be the healthiest choice for me. It's a terrible predicament, one I never thought I'd find myself in. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. You have every right to protect your emotional well-being. It sounds like your daughter-in-law has shown a lack of empathy and understanding, especially during your medical scare. It's understandable that you miss your grandkids, but your health and stability need to be your priority. Perhaps in time, your son will understand, and you can rebuild your relationship with your grandchildren. 2. Info. Have you considered seeking legal advice for visitation rights to your grandchildren? It's not fair for the kids to be caught in the crossfire of this family conflict. As for your housing situation, have you looked into public assistance or any local charities that could help? You're going through a tough time, but there could be resources available to help you get back on your feet. 3. Everyone sucks here. While your daughter-in-law definitely hasn't behaved well, cutting off contact entirely might not be the best approach. It's causing you heartache and preventing you from seeing your grandkids. Maybe try setting boundaries and communicating the issues instead of completely isolating yourself. Yet, you're also facing eviction. It's understandable why you'd want to avoid added stress. It's a tough situation, but communication might help resolve some of these issues. Now for the next story. So my whole life, my mom has been disabled. It got to a point where she had to go to a care home, as neither my brother nor I had the time to take care of her. He is 21, and I am 18 years old, female, so we are both working on starting our lives. She has always treated me better than him, even brainwashing me from 13 to 17 that he is a horrible person. We both grew up with a ton of emotional abuse from her, which is why we didn't bother to make the time to care for her. As I no longer lived with her, I slowly started to realize why my brother never came around, and that he is truly a good person. Today, she wanted him to bring her a vape, and he said he would. Shortly after, she sent me a text along the lines of, "I hate your brother, he is such a little $F an amp at." I instantly called him, telling him not to do it. I sent him a screenshot of the text. He thanked me for telling him, as obviously she was just using him and being fake. Now my mom is raging that I told him about what she said, saying that her wants are more important than how he feels. I strongly disagree. This is my brother we are talking about. Adia for telling him? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot my mom was, what I call a psychological extremist. She used to pull shoot like this with me and my sister all the time when we were growing up. After my sister and I went no contact with her for our own individual reasons, her and I finally started talking to each other about all the things that we hadn't before. Things that had happened or were said, supposedly by the other. Turns out almost none of it was true, and our mother was telling us outright lies about the other to pit us against each other and keep us emotionally reliant on her. She needed us to keep each other at arm's length to always have the upper hand and to make sure that we would truly believe we could only trust her. That she just wanted us to know these awful things that we were supposedly doing behind to the other behind their back so that we could see we couldn't trust each other. That way she could continue harassing both of us without having to worry about us uniting against her. Talk about it. Talk about all of it. Every time she tries to use you against your brother, tell him. Every time she plays pretend in his face and spews venom behind his back, let him know. Otherwise, I would definitely consider going full no contact. Doing so allowed my sister and I to have a relationship on our own terms and also helped us start to unpacking all of the abuse we suffered. We also finally stopped lying for her. To each other, to everyone else around all of us, family and friends, and to ourselves. Don't let people like her win. Don't even play the game. Good luck with your brother. You guys deserve to know what it's like to have a real relationship with each other. Comment 2. Look, your mom is a selfish C, plain and simple. Further, at least in this case, it seems you and your brother have a chance to have a strong relationship and be able to be there for one and other far longer than your mother could. Personally, you should both completely cut ties with her. She is utterly toxic. You should both show up and state you're done with her selfish, toxic, evil self and will no longer have any association with her. That or just block her with no warning. Either way works fine, but you need to cut her out. Comment 3. Definitely not the idiot. My mother was the same, always talking about her kids to the other kids. Her favorite kid was always the one who was doing her bidding. My mother was selfish and hurtful. She didn't drive, so she demanded that I drive 30 miles, one way to take her to work, 2 blocks away. I spent my life trying to win her love. At 27, I realized she would never change, and I cut all ties with her. She died in 2014, and I got custody of my sister who has Down syndrome. Now, for the update. Since posting last, I've been doing some serious introspection, and along the way, a lot of things have fallen into place. I know some of you were curious about how things developed with my mom and brother, so here's what happened. After the whole vape incident, my brother and I decided it'd be wise to sit down and have a heart-to-heart. We talked about everything, from childhood stories to mother's manipulative behavior, healing conversations, you know? It was the first time we really connected as siblings instead of being pawns in some twisted family drama. We decided that we would be there for each other and communicate openly about Mom's nasty tricks. We wouldn't let her manipulations affect our relationship anymore. Fast forward a few months, we're still sticking to our promise. Of course, Mom continued her attempts to turn us against each other, but we made sure to keep an open line of communication. And guess what? It annoyed her. At some point, she realized that her tactics weren't working anymore, and she gradually toned down her behavior. Dealing with her resentment was tough. She was mad that I took my brother's side, and at times, the guilt trips were almost unbearable. But I kept reminding myself that this wasn't about choosing sides. It was about standing up to emotional abuse and manipulation. Meanwhile, my brother and I have become closer than ever. We talk regularly, not just about Mom, but about our personal lives, dreams, hopes, things normal siblings talk about. It's quite amazing, having a brother who is on your side for a change. And I can't help but think how different things could have been if we had seen through Mom's manipulation earlier. But then, it's never too late to start anew, right? As for Mom, we still visit her periodically at the care home. We've had some very candid talks with her about our feelings, the past, and the need for a healthier relationship. These conversations weren't easy, and sometimes they escalated to heated arguments, but we always got through them. Slowly, she started to take responsibility for her actions. We don't know if it's the result of boredom in the care home or if she genuinely feels remorse, but either way, we're glad she's finally self-reflecting. Some days she's more receptive than others, but it's a start. I won't lie, it's still a work in progress, and we've got a long way to go. But I'm hopeful. At least now we're on the same page about standing against emotional abuse. And that's the first step to healing, right? Now, for the comments, not the idiot. You're doing an amazing job handling a challenging situation. It's never easy to stand up to a manipulative parent, but it's necessary for your mental and emotional health. You're not only protecting yourself, but also your brother. Keep maintaining your boundaries, and remember, it's okay to take a step back if things get too overwhelming. Everyone sucks here. While it's good that you and your brother are standing against emotional abuse, it's also important to consider professional help for your mother. Emotional manipulation is often a symptom of deeper issues, and if she's showing signs of improvement, therapy could accelerate her progress. But it's not your responsibility to fix her, so don't burden yourself with that. No idiots here. It's clear that this situation is difficult for everyone involved. Your mother, despite her manipulative behavior, might be struggling with her own issues. It's commendable that you're trying to maintain a relationship with her and help her change. But remember, it's crucial to prioritize your own mental health as well. If the situation becomes too toxic, it's perfectly okay to distance yourself. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!